Let's do a quick tutorial on pipetting.
Each pipette is a little bit different than the other ones. So like one size doesn't fit all in the explanation. So I want to explain every single one that you might see in the lab room. So at the very bottom, that's where you can see how much fluid can be held in that micro pipetter. So the smallest one this guy can hold is 0.5 and the biggest it can hold is 10 microliters. The pink one is the same, it's right there. Smallest 0.5, the highest it can go is a 10. This one, old school Evotech, or Wards actually, I thought it was Evotech. The smallest it can hold is 10 and the highest it can go is 100 microliters. The new ones, these guys are newer. This one again can hold 10 to 100. And then this is a really old school one. Can hold 20, highest it can go is 200. And this one's my favorite because it can hold up to 1,000, which is basically 1 milliliter. And the lowest it can hold is 0.1, so it's super tiny. So this is where a lot of kids get confused on, is trying to figure out how much you're actually holding in a micropipetter. So again, this is the small guy, the 0.5 to 10. So whenever you see the line, that's where your decimal's at. So right now this guy is holding 0.52 of microliters, super tiny. If you move this dial up here, this is how you can move it. So that's going backwards. This one's going forward. So if I move it up to, try to get to a 1, this is holding 1.00, super tiny, 1 microliter. And you can keep going, and the highest it can go is a 10. So the angle, hold on. So as you can see, this one's at 10.00, or other words, just 10 microliters. This is the highest it can go. You can go down, so this is at 9.97 microliters, and hopefully you're getting the gist of it. You can even, so again, 8.95 microliters. The pink one's really nice because you actually have the decimal actually on the window. So this one, for some kiddos, are a little bit more user-friendly than the line. But the way you move the pink guy is you move this dial up here and it moves it down and up. Again, don't go below 0.5 and don't go above 10, but 2.4, 2.6. Again, this one's a little bit more kid-friendly, I guess. So this one is Ward. This is probably like the most not user-friendly. Again, the lowest it can go is from a 10 up to 100. So if you're looking at this window, there's no line, there's no dot. This is at 48 microliters. If you want it to be 100, there needs to be a 1 on the top, 0, 0. If you're doing a 10, it's going to be 0, 1, 0. If you're doing 20, it's going to be 0, 2, 0. I try to tell kids not to use this one unless you absolutely have to. So the 10 to 100, there's your line or your decimal. So this one currently is at 23.6, but the highest it can go is 100. So if you want 100, you have to make it look like 1, 0, 0, and another 0. You can do 5, 0, and a 0, and that'll give you 50. You can do a 5, 0, and a 5, and that'll give you 50.5. So it just takes some time. So here's the old school Evotech one. These are so cheap, they break so often, but we have some good ones. So again, 2 to 200. This one's kind of easy, just like the pink one with its dot in the middle. There is no dot, but this is at 98 microliters. Just like the pink one, you move this little blue thing up here, and then that's how you make it go up. So again, that's 100. You can keep doing this and I'll eventually get to 200. Sometimes it just takes a while to get there, but again, it is a little bit easier for kids to use rather than the newer Evotech with the line can be a little bit hard to get used to. And then my favorite one, these are the thousands. These are fun to use. Again, this is at 500 microliters. That's where the decimal is at. So if we want 1,000, it has to be 1, 0, 0, 0. You could do, because it can go up to 0.1. So if you want a 10, you just go 0, 0, 1, 0. Hopefully that makes sense, but yeah.
Okay, so the last part is actual pipetting, and
You have to be very careful of how much each micropipetter can hold, because that's going to tell you exactly what pipette tip you actually have to use. In our lab, you are going to have 3 different versions of pipette tips. We have the super small guy, which is 0.5 to a 10. So that is, depending where you are, that's these 2 that at the lab station I am, because it says 0.5 to a 10. That's what those tips fit on. A big red flag is if you're not using the right tip is if nothing's coming up in the tip itself. The next one is the orange one or the yellow one. These can hold the 10 to the hundreds as well as the 20 to 200. So this one's a little more versatile. So in that case, we have our 10 to 100, so that also fit this guy, and then the 20 to 200 can also fit this one. It's like the most universal tip that we have. And then the big guy, my favorite one, the 1000 mil guy, it's not labeled. I don't think I need to. It's in the big old box. These tips are gigantic. That's because the biggest it can hold is 1 mil, and so that's where you have the big guy. So since I'm using the small guy, the 0.5 to 10, I'm going to be using the smaller tips. And you will be wearing gloves. I'm not right now, so that's how we keep it sanitary. Is that you just have a nice little snug fit. Just do a little like push it in, make sure it's in, good to go. And then with the actual pump, I call it a pump, the little, I don't know what to call it. Anyways, once you get in the lab room and you pick one up, and then you take your thumb, I don't know how to explain this. I'm just going to show you all my not index fingers, but my phalanges per se, goes underneath the handle, and then you're going to use your thumb to use the plunger to go in and out of what you need. Anyways, so once you're doing that, and then if you're going down, you'll notice that there is a first stop. The first stop is used to pick up substances. So once you got the substances to your first stop, you put it in your thing or your substance and you lift up, and you have, can you see it? I feel like I'm a YouTuber with my hand up. Anyways, okay, so I got my stuff. And then when you're trying to dispense it to where it needs to go, I'm just going to put it right back into my original food coloring. You go all the way down to the first stop and then to the second stop. So if you'll notice, there's a first stop and then a second stop. A lot of kids, when they're especially with the ELISA lab, they usually grab too much because they go all the way down to the second stop. They grab it all up, and then it's way too much. So you want to be very mindful of that first stop, pick it up, second stop to release everything. Before you actually pick up stuff, make sure you actually go to the first stop and then put it in and then pick it up. Do not put your micropipetter in and then go to the first stop and then lift up. You still won't get the right amount. Hopefully that makes sense. Alright, so placement of your body kind of matters when you're doing anything with micropipetters, especially if you're kind of like a newbie and you don't trust yourself with it yet. I could basically just micropipette without any kind of stability or any kind of help, because I've been doing it for a while. But if you're not confident in your pipetting skills, my recommendation is obviously hold it right with like your phalanges underneath the handle, so your thumb is ready on the plunger, and you have your elbow down and you're kind of hunched over, and you use your other hand to kind of help guide your other hand. So you have 2 elbows on your table, 2 hands on the micropipetter, and you have your thumb ready to go to the first stop, second stop as needed. It just makes sure that you have full control of the micropipetter no matter what you're doing. I recommend this technique as you start to get used to using the micropipetter. As you get confident, try to do 1 elbow, and then if you're like super confident, just no elbows. Okay, that's it. Hope that worked. See ya. Bye. Never mind. I lied. One more thing. So how do you get rid of a tip? Once you're done with the tip, a color, a volume, or whatever it is, and it has to go away. Each micropipetter has a very same release valve that's very similar. So if your hand is on the plunger, the correct position. You just move your thumb down to the plunger, the release plunger, I guess, and you just, there it goes. And it should go into a separate waste basket. Okay, that's it. That's really it. Bye.